Life Reflection, Chapter 14, Piano. Today we're going to talk about one of the most important things that has existed in my life, and that is the piano and music. I think for me, and I'm sure a lot of other people, music plays a huge role in their lives, like the music you listen to as a kid, the music that you listen to now, everything in your favorite shows, everything from entertainment contains music. There's so much of it around us, and it's like a natural thing. It's just sound combined, but it can elicit like so much emotion and change the mood, change your mood completely from one to another, simply by just like changing tracks and everything. To me, music is one of the most incredible things in this entire world and has so much power. So I'm going to reflect on basically my relationship with music and the piano ever since I was a kid. I mentioned this before. I started piano lessons around 4th grade, 5th grade, had a teacher that slept all the time, and then moved on to a teacher that I finally was consistent with starting around, I think it was either 6th or 7th grade. And from then was when I actually stuck with that teacher. We started at RSM level 3, I believe. And then I think I skipped 4 and then went to 5 and 6 and 7. 7 was the last level I took with her for the practical exam. And for theory, we did level 6. And this is all like out of 8 levels. So it was quite a journey with my piano teacher. And I actually reached out to her like a few years ago when I was an adult and just asked how she was doing and everything like that. And she said that she's doing well and she's still teaching piano, has like a lot of students and whatnot. I've actually considered being a piano teacher myself. I have a teaching diploma for piano that I got from ABR. I self-studied to take that exam and get the certificate. But more on that a little later. Either way, she seems to be doing well. And I remember when I asked her, or when we were talking, she just mentioned like how she thought of me, or I asked if she remembered me. That's what it was. And she said, yeah, you were like the kid that was like very mature for your age. So I thought that was a very interesting overall perception that she had of me when I was younger. And I remember being lucky. I remember that whenever we did music stuff, I picked it up pretty fast in terms of being able to read music. And thanks to that, I didn't practice as much as I should have for the pieces that she asked me to practice. I kind of was just able to sight read it quite easily. And from there, just repetition, thanks to easy sight reading, was enough to like get me through all the levels until level 7. I think I did struggle to like really be patient with my learning. I think oftentimes I would just like learn a new piece or learn like some anime song or some movie song. I was really into the things I liked and not really that focused with other things. But all my playing back then was based on memorization and muscle memory, kinesthetic memory. And I think that was a huge mistake on my part. And perhaps, the teacher's fault as well. I mean, it is kind of the standard way of learning. Just learn how to play piano pieces, and that's you playing the piano. But if you're actually into music, or if you're actually into like learning about music, not just how to play the piano, I think there's like a whole other side of it that I've been exploring a lot more recently, that I'm just, I guess, obsessed with recently. Maybe not as obsessed as I should be, or either not as, I haven't been practicing as much as I should be. I practice every day, but I only practice about 45 minutes for the skill that I really, really want, which is playing by ear on the piano. And I mentioned this a lot in my just general episodes in this podcast. Like, it's a skill that I've wanted ever since I was a kid. I always thought like, these musicians that are experts can just listen to something and play it back and everything. And to me, that's like the ultimate musicianship skill to have, is to listen to music or listen to anything in general and just like know the quality of the sound as well as the tones, the pitches, everything. And I think that's the harmony, the context, everything is incredible. It truly is incredible. And the number one skill that I want right now, it's a thing that I would honestly stop everything else to get. But I feel like I can't really do that because I have to like make money and also like sustain myself in other ways, and also just yeah, there's a lot to life, so I can't exactly spend all my time on it, but I feel like I should spend way more than 45 minutes. It's just right now that's what I can give, and right now it's also like really difficult and tiring to practice a skill that difficult, especially when I don't really have like one-on-one true guidance. I have I can look stuff up, and I've looked up tutorials and bought courses and all that stuff, but it's still not enough to really know where I'm at and how to do it in the best way, how to learn the skill in the best way. The best way would probably be to actually find someone who has the skill and pay them and do a lesson with them, which is honestly what I should do. I don't know why I'm so resistant to doing that. Perhaps things from my childhood, like, or high school years, college years, just being resistant to paying for things. I'm definitely not like that as much these days, because I am like, I earn money, so I'm able to spend it on things that matter to me. So it doesn't really make sense for me to hold back at this point. I should really like seek out solid advice and lessons and stuff regarding that, because if it really is that important to me, like there's nothing stopping me from doing that, especially since I'm willing to put in the time and dedication, at least about an hour each day. And I think that is enough to at least make some progress over time. I'm on day 80 currently, and I feel like I have a good idea of where I'm going and how to progress better and whatnot, but I still think a teacher would help. So yeah, I think that's one thing I'm learning from this reflection session. Anyways, so just to go back in time again, when I was a kid, we would always have lessons. At a certain point, it was like at my house, and then eventually we went into their studio, got dropped off, and I would practice there, and I enjoyed our lessons. I don't remember too many details from it other than, just playing the song and the teacher indicating like what I should and should not do and all that stuff. It was good. I remember various lessons, and they're all pretty fun. And what I liked the most was when we actually interacted with other students. There was a time where we got to talk to, or like we were preparing for exams, so we would all get together at one time and sort of just like study and whatnot for theory. It was mainly theory that we were learning together. So I enjoyed that because we got to meet new people and just interact with other musicians. Piano can oftentimes be quite solitary. I'm not sure what the right word is, but just lonely, I guess. So I really enjoyed the time with others. But unfortunately, after I moved, that's when we still tried the lessons, but it was difficult because of the distance. And at a certain point, like the lessons just stopped. I don't know what it was exactly, but it just stopped, and I continued on my own. So for a long time, basically after that, for a long time, I just played piano on my own whenever I could, just learn songs in the same way. And had I known what I know now, like I would have worked on playing by ear, like purely, instead of just continuously spamming muscle memory songs, like just learning how to play songs or pieces that I thought were cool, and just like continuously practicing them over and over and over again. Muscle memory. Like I didn't grow that much, honestly. It's just like repeated motion and movement that you can easily forget. But if you train your ears and you have a connection with the piano for what pitch is what, for the keys, like you will have way more ability than anybody else who only plays things through muscle memory, assuming you have like a baseline level of technique and whatnot, which I think at this point, since I've played since I was a 5th grader or 4th grader, I do. So I'm like very like aware of what I'm playing when I am activated. But whenever I play the pieces and songs that I played in the past that I learned through muscle memory, it's like my mind just goes blank, and I just default to really, really bad habits. So in a lot of ways, I really wish I learned the right and best methods for my goals right now since the beginning, because then I would be on a whole different level for sure. But I'm on the way now, and I've learned a lot from my mistakes. It's just taking a while. But I really think that in the next year or two, I will start to develop like really, really good playing by ear skills that will change my relationship with music and deepen it, because I really, really do want to understand it better, like feel it better and everything like that. So at a certain point after college finished, we self-studied to take the ABRSM level 8. That's what we did. We signed up for it, basically saying that we self-studied. I remember there being like a section like who's your teacher and whatnot, and then I had to make sure they understood that I didn't have a teacher. But it went well overall. We got a passing grade. I can't remember what the numbers were or the scores, but it wasn't like I barely passed or anything. It was like good enough. And then the next one for self-studying for the diploma, actually, I was pretty upset about this. I passed everything except for the sight reading aspect because I guess I freaked out a little bit at a certain part, and that freak out ended up making me fail by like, I think 2 points. So I had to retake just the sight reading part, and this time I passed. But that period of time where we were just like, we found out that we didn't pass was like a very, very trying time for me. I was just like very upset, and I just constantly practiced sight reading around that time. There was also like this big Chopin book that my friend gave me at a certain point that I just sight read through all of it. And it was a good experience actually, just sight reading things and having fun with new music. Like I sort of missed that a little bit, that period of time where sight reading was my primary focus. But super, super happy to have passed it the second time around. Like I remember getting the mail and finding out that the diploma was in there, and I was just like so happy and took off. It was like in the summer, I believe. And my shirt was off because I just don't have my shirt on sometimes during the summer because it's hot. And I just like threw my shirt across the room and just yelped and screamed in celebration, basically, when I passed. It's a few moments like that in my life where I'm just like so glad or relieved or happy about certain things, because yeah, failing was not a good feeling, especially when you fail by just like 2 points or something like that. But ironically, I don't really do anything with the teaching diploma. It's just something I wanted and a goal that I had that I was working towards. But after that happened, or around the same time actually, I was taking lessons with a piano YouTuber. His name is Kyle Landry. And this was like in-person lessons with him. And I had a lot of fun during those lessons, even though they were just like once every 3 or 4 weeks. It was for a good year, I believe, that we did it. And I felt like I improved during that time, just watching him play and him giving me feedback on my own playing. There's like a lot that I still need to learn. And my focus right now is on playing by ear, but I know eventually once I get to a good level for that, I will have to refocus on my technique and learning new pieces that are technically challenging. There's like so much to music. I feel like you can easily do it your whole life and still like have something to work on. So that's my journey with music, and it feels like it's kind of just beginning, even though I've had a long history with it. Also, like I believe one of the reasons why I didn't continue with Kyle was because of COVID. Like COVID happened and then the lessons just stopped. But yeah, this should be a pretty interesting journey continuing forward. This is something that is less of a reflection. I mean, yeah, I'm reflecting on the past about how I feel like I wish I learned things better in a better way, and that I focused on the thing that I really want now. But at the same time, I still enjoyed my history with music, and I still feel like it's been a good part of my life. And yeah, we haven't even talked about like creating originals yet. So another thing I was really into during college was orchestral music. Me and my college girlfriend both really, really liked it. So we listened to it all the time, and I was very inspired by it, always moved. I really loved like strings and just how all the instruments blended together so well and created such a impactful emotional sound. So I would listen to orchestral music very, very often, sort of like film score music, epic music is what people call it. And I got inspired to eventually try and create my own. So I collaborated with a friend to create like sort of an arrangement of one of Chopin's pieces, and I thought that went well overall. But for myself, I'm still kind of learning all the techniques, and the piano playing by ear thing has kind of taken over most of my efforts right now. But I will eventually get there. I've created a lot of piano originals, I think like 10 or 11 at this point. That's not that much, to be honest, but it is good for a start because I started about 2 years ago. I could definitely create way more. I am slow because my adventure in Japan, I didn't really do much of creation at all. I didn't have access to a piano all the time, even though I did kind of play at Kyoto Station a lot when I was living in the first share house. So that was fun. Like playing publicly is a very good experience. It's very thrilling in a way. Like when you mess up, you just got to keep going. But that was very enjoyable. I feel like after I stopped at a certain point, like when I moved share houses and I didn't play piano as much, I got so much worse, and I was like not confident that I could play publicly. But like, so being away from a piano, even for like a week or two, like that's too long, in my opinion. Like I need to have some sort of practice to maintain certain pieces, certain songs, certain practices. But I guess that's why I'm working on playing by ear, because if I master that, I can theoretically play things in my head, and that's what I want. Like I just want to become as good as I can be regarding music and piano. Like it's something that is certainly a passion of mine, like without a doubt. If I doubted everything else as a passion, as something I really want to do, like this is the one thing I know for sure. There's no doubt that I want to do. I don't know if that phrase, those sentences made any sense, but yeah, hopefully the meaning was conveyed, because it sounded kind of weird. But yeah, it's been a journey with it. I actually started creating piano originals because I wanted to create them as gifts for friends, and I think that was like a really good move, because it really motivates me a lot to be like, you're a really close friend of mine, you mean a lot to me, and I created this song this song is based around you. It's like me thinking of you while trying to create the melody, while trying to create the harmony and like the feel of the piece and everything, and giving it to them for their birthday and saying like, happy birthday, this is like an original I created for you. So we've basically done, I think eight pieces that are dedicated to other people, and then a few that are just like sort of dedicated to my own experiences. Like everything I create has some meaning behind it. Like it isn't just some random melody or random thing. Like I always imbue some sort of personal experience, life experience, relationship, place, something in it when I create, because I don't know, I feel like that's my version, or how I want to create is based on my own feelings and experiences. But it's been a while since I've done it, and yeah, part of me sometimes feels a little scared to get back into it, It's like you've been away for so long, like what if you lost something along the way while you were away? But there's no point in thinking about that, because we're going to come back eventually, and might as well try to come back sooner than later. But for the time being, I do want to give my focus towards playing by ear and not split it so much, because if I can also master playing by ear and recognizing pitches very well and just all the ear stuff, then I will be better off when I create. That's what I believe. But there's so much to do. But yeah, I gotta find ways to make things like more not necessarily exciting, but it's like I'm always alone when I do these things, and I know there's a communal aspect to music, right? Playing in a band, writing things together, like I've done that before once. Like there's so much communal and social potential in music that I'm just not tapping into, and that's the part that I mean. It's like that one time I played piano and with a new friend in Japan, and she played violin, and we played together at the same time. I was just very glad about it. It was like a nice experience to hear someone else playing and sure to play off of that. And it was, yeah, I don't know. It's a completely different experience that I feel like I've not really had much in my life, and that I would very much like more of. But I keep saying that, but I never like do anything about it. So I'm going to make that a 30-day challenge. And I'll probably actually try to do that more in Japan. I mean, I did it once in Japan. There's definitely potential in doing it again. But I mean, honestly, I should try it here as well in California. I'm sure there's a lot of potential since I do live close enough to LA. Yeah, we'll see. There's a lot of plans going on right now, flying around right now, but I know that there's a lot that I need to do for this. This is one of the topics that for sure like has had a long history, but also is still ongoing and still like on the top of my head. Like dance and gymnastics and all that stuff that I really enjoy as well. Like that has not been as important recently compared to like back then when I really enjoyed doing it and stuff. And if I were to pick one over the other, it would certainly be music and piano. Not that I have to. It's just if I had to focus on one, like if I had no choice. But overall, I feel like there's still so much to learn. I'm still like a beginner musician, if you ask me. Like for piano, if you ask me to play like a difficult piece and whatnot, I can learn it. Given some time, I can learn it and play it probably decently. And they can be pretty difficult pieces as well. Like the hardest piece I've played is probably Chopin's Ballade in G minor. That one is a beautiful piece, and it's also quite difficult. It's the one that the main character plays in Your Lie in April, that anime, at the very end. But very, very beautiful piece. So I really, really loved it ever since I heard it, and I practiced it quite a lot back then. These days, I haven't practiced it much, so I probably can't play it very well anymore. But yeah, that's the hardest one I've played. But in general, like to me, it doesn't matter what I can play. It's more so what I can hear these days, what I can hear, how much I can hear, and how much I can translate that into instantaneous playing. That is the skill that I want. Yeah, in a way, it's almost like taking a break from the normal piano stuff and really trying to do my dream skill, work on my dream skill instead. But I feel like we'll get there. I have confidence that we will, because we've progressed for sure. Even if it is slow, like we've definitely progressed. There are things that I could not hear back then that I can hear very well now. So it's definitely a skill that's possible to gain. People just call it relative pitch. But yeah, I don't know. Eventually, maybe I will start teaching piano, but I feel like I need to get to a level that I feel satisfied with, that I feel like, yes, I am the musician that I have always wanted to be, or like I have the skills that I want as a musician, and I feel like I have the capability of teaching others to obtain this like really awesome, difficult to achieve skill that, in my opinion, is very essential for being like a musician, like a true musician that has open ears, that has good ears, and not just someone who can just put their fingers on some keys of the piano, because that's very, very different in my opinion. That's what I did for about a decade and a half, just putting fingers on keys, not really truly listening. So the journey continues, but this is the journey so far, and let's see where it goes. I'm gonna try my best to get to where I want to be, and then from there just keep going, right? Yeah. And I've always thought about like, making it a career potentially in the future, but for the time being, I just don't feel like I have the skill yet, so I'm working on the skill. All right, and that's it for piano and music.